In the year 2371, the Coalition decided to hold a large training exercise on the neutral moon called Praxis 4. Every major species sent soldiers. They wanted to practice together, share ideas, and show they could stand as one if trouble came. Ships arrived from dozens of worlds, the landing fields filled with troops in bright armor and strange weapons. The humans sent only one small company, 50 soldiers led by Captain Daniel Foster. Their transport ship looked plain, gray metal with no fancy designs. When the humans stepped out, other troops watched closely. The humans wore simple dark green uniforms, light armor plates on chest and shoulders, helmets with clear face shields. Their rifles used bullets, not energy beams. They looked small compared to the tall Koran or the quick Zanari. Colonel Vex of the Koran stood with his officers. He was 7 feet tall with silver skin and sharp teeth. He pointed at the humans and laughed loud. They still fight with metal slugs, like cave people. And those old stories they tell. One human holds off an army. One human never gives up. Fairy tales for children. His soldiers laughed. The Zanari joined in. A Zanari sergeant with shining scales made a funny face and waved his arms. "Oh, help! The big bad human is here! Run away!" More laughter spread across the field. Even some of the quieter species smiled. Captain Daniel Foster stood at the front of his line. He did not move. His face stayed calm. His soldiers stood straight behind him. No one spoke. No one looked angry. They only waited. The first day of training started early. Obstacle courses with lasers, high walls, and mock enemies. The Coalition troops went first. They moved in perfect groups. Energy weapons flashed bright. Armor changed colors to blend with the ground. They finished fast and clean. Then the humans took their turn. They did not run or shout. They moved steady. Each soldier helped the next over walls. They crossed laser grids without setting off alarms. In the mock rooms, they cleared corners fast. Every shot hit the center of targets. No misses, no extra steps. Colonel Vex watched from a high tower. He crossed his arms. Slow and boring. They are scared to make mistakes. His officers laughed again. That night, soldiers gathered around fires on the field. Food smelled good. Drinks passed around. The talk turned to old battles and old stories. A Koran lieutenant stood up. Humans say they survived ice ages and plagues. They say one of them can fight 10 of us hand to hand. I say it is all lies. The Zanari sergeant raised his cup. To human legends, may they stay on paper where they belong. Loud cheers followed. Cups clinked. Laughter rolled through the camp. At the human camp, the soldiers sat around their own small fire. They talked in low voices about the next day's drills. No one mentioned the jokes. Private Sophia Larson looked at Captain Daniel. "Should we answer them, sir?" Daniel shook his head. "They will see soon enough." The next morning, the final drill began. A full assault on a mock fortress. The Coalition forces attacked in waves. Explosions shook the ground. Beams lit the sky. They reached the walls and planted charges. They moved like machines. Then the humans were called forward. They advanced in a single line. No running charge. No war cries. Steady steps. They reached the walls. They climbed fast without ropes. They entered the fortress. Rooms cleared in seconds. Targets dropped one after another. They worked as one unit. No one fell behind. A Koran squad tried to block their path. The humans split around them, flanked from both sides. Suppressed with short bursts, the Koran squad found themselves surrounded. Their training harnesses beeped red. Simulated death. The controllers watched the screens. They announced the results over the speakers. Human company completes objective. Fastest time recorded. Highest score. 0 simulated losses. The field went quiet. Colonel Vex stared at the numbers. His claws tightened on the rail. "How?" he asked no one. Daniel Foster walked his company back to their starting line. They stood at attention again. Quiet. Vex came down from the tower. His boots hit the ground hard. He stopped in front of Daniel. "That was luck," he said. Daniel looked up at him. "It was practice." Vex stepped closer. His voice dropped low. "Your stories about one human against many, they are still lies." Daniel gave a small nod. "We never claimed one against many. We only said one is enough when it needs to be." Vex showed his teeth. "Prove it, right now, hand to hand, no weapons, no armor, your best against mine." Daniel turned to his soldiers. "Private Larson, step forward." Sophia Larson walked out. She was 5'6", short blonde hair, calm face. She removed her helmet and set it down. Vex looked at her, then laughed loud. "This is your fighter? This small female?" Sophia did not speak. The circle formed. Troops from every species watched. The Koran champion stepped in. Tall, heavy muscles, claws out. He cracked his knuckles. The fight started. The Koran charged like a bull, fast and strong. Sophia stepped to the side. Just enough. She struck once. Hard elbow to the throat. The Koran choked and slowed. She moved behind him. Knee to the back of the leg. Arm twisted up. The large soldier dropped to his knees. 11 seconds. The circle stayed silent. Vex stared. Sophia let go. She stepped back. Daniel spoke from the side. "That is one." Vex snarled. Again. Another Koran came forward. Bigger. Angrier. Same result. 9 seconds. The laughter was gone. Vex looked at his soldiers, then back at Daniel. "You're legends," he said slowly. "They are not legends." Daniel met his eyes. "They are memory." No one spoke after that. The exercise ended early. Troops packed up in quiet groups. Ships left Praxis 4 one after another. The Koran and Zanari did not joke again. They remembered the small woman who dropped their champion without anger. They remembered the quiet captain who never raised his voice. And they started to wonder what other human stories might be true. What other quiet people carried real strength under calm faces? What happened when those people stopped being quiet? The rest of the training exercise on Praxis 4 continued, but the air felt different. Laughter stopped when humans were near. Koran soldiers looked away when Daniel Foster or Sophia Larson passed. Zinari whispers grew quieter. The other species watched the humans more carefully now. Not with mockery, with something closer to caution. The next drill was night combat in thick forest. Low light, simulated fog, hidden targets that moved. The coalition troops went first again. They used night vision lenses and thermal scopes. Their steps stayed careful. They cleared sections slowly. Some tripped on roots. Some set off motion sensors. Their scores were good, not perfect. Then the humans entered the woods. They did not turn on extra lights. They did not speak much. They moved in small teams of 4. Each soldier knew where the others were, without looking. They stepped soft, over dry leaves. They avoided branches that would snap. Their rifles stayed low but ready. In the control room, Colonel Vex watched the live feeds. He leaned close to the screen. "They will get lost," he said. "Humans cannot see in the dark like us." His officers nodded. The humans did not get lost. They found every target. They moved through fog like they could feel the shapes. When a mock enemy drone flew low, Sophia Larson raised her rifle. One shot. The drone dropped. No second round needed. A Koran observer in the field tried to shadow them. He wanted to see how they did it. He lost them in under 2 minutes. One moment the humans were ahead, the next they were gone. He reported back. They vanished, like smoke. Vex frowned. Impossible. But the scores did not lie. The humans finished the course faster than any other group. Highest kills, no detections, no injuries. The controllers announced the results over the speakers. Human company, first place. Perfect run. Silence again. That evening the communal area stayed quiet. No large fires, no loud stories. Soldiers ate in small groups. Some looked toward the human camp. The humans sat around their fire as always. They talked low. They cleaned weapons. They checked gear. Normal things. A young Zenari private walked over. He stopped at the edge of the light. His scales caught the glow. "May I ask a question?" he said. Daniel Foster looked up. "Go ahead." The private swallowed. "How do you do it? The stories, the calm, the way you move. Is it true what they say about humans, that you never break?" Daniel set his rifle down. "We break sometimes. Everyone does. But we choose when to stand up again. That is all." The private nodded slowly. "Thank you." He walked back to his side. His friends asked what he learned. He only shook his head. The last day brought a different test. Each species picked a leader. The leaders planned an assault on a defended hill. They gave orders. Their troops followed. Colonel Vex took command for the Koran-Zenari alliance. He drew plans on a hollow table. He spoke loud. "We attack from 3 sides. Heavy fire from the left, flank from the right, center push. Simple, strong." His troops cheered. Daniel Foster planned for the humans alone. He spoke quiet to his company. "We do not need 3 sides. We need one good path. Find the weak spot. Use it. Everyone comes home." His soldiers nodded. The simulation started. Vex's forces moved out. They fired heavy barrages. Energy beams lit the hill. They advanced fast. They reached the first line of defenses. Then the humans moved. They did not attack the front. They slipped around the side, through a narrow ravine most had ignored. They climbed low ridges. When Vex's troops reached the top, the humans were already behind them. Simulated fire came from unexpected angles. Vex's left flank collapsed. His center turned to face the threat. The right flank found itself cut off. The controllers called it. Exercise over. Human force controls the objective. Coalition alliance neutralized. Vex stared at the hollow display, his plan in pieces. He walked across the field. His boots hit hard. He stopped in front of Daniel. "You used trickery," he said. Daniel shook his head. "We used what was there. You saw the ravine, you ignored it. We did not." Vex looked at Sophia, then at the other humans. All calm, all quiet. "Your legends," he said. "I thought they were boasts." Daniel met his eyes. "They are warnings." Vex stood silent for a long moment. Then he did something no one expected. He lowered his head slightly. "I was wrong." The words carried across the field. Heads turned. "I mocked what I did not understand. I see it now." Daniel gave a small nod. "We all learn." Vex turned to his troops. He raised his voice. "The humans showed us today. They fight smart. They fight hard. They do not need to shout to be strong." His soldiers stood straighter. The Zenari sergeant stepped forward. "We heard the stories. We laughed. We will not laugh again." Quiet agreement spread through the other ranks. The exercise ended that afternoon. Ships lifted off one by one. The humans loaded last. Their transport rose slow into the sky. Colonel Vex watched them go. He stood on the landing field until the ship vanished. He turned to his second-in-command. "Send a report to Home Command." The officer waited. "Tell them the human legends are not legends. Tell them the quiet ones are the most dangerous." The Koran walked away. Praxis 4 grew quiet again. But the memory stayed. A small company of humans had come. They had been mocked. They had said nothing. Then they showed what quiet strength looked like. And no one mocked them after that. After the hand-to-hand demonstration on Praxis 4, The training continued for 2 more days, but the mood never returned to what it had been. The large fires shrank. The loud jokes disappeared. Soldiers from other species ate in smaller groups. They watched the humans from a distance. Some nodded when a human passed. Others looked down at their food. The next exercise was a survival test. Teams dropped into a cold desert valley. No supplies, no maps. They had to reach a marked point 30 kilometers away in under 48 hours. The terrain included deep canyons, loose sand, and sudden dust storms. The coalition teams went first. They carried extra water packs and portable shelters. They moved in straight lines. They used compasses and beacons. Colonel Vex led one group himself. He marched at the front. His silver skin shone under the sun. He spoke loud to his soldiers. "We finish first. We show strength." They reached the halfway mark in good time. Then the dust storm hit. Visibility dropped to 0. Wind howled. Sand stung exposed skin. Vex ordered them to hunker down. They built a quick shelter. They waited out the storm. When it cleared, they found their path blocked. A canyon wall had collapsed. Rocks filled the narrow pass. They tried to climb. The rock shifted. One soldier slipped. He caught himself but lost his pack. Water spilled into the sand. Vex cursed. "We go around." They lost hours. The humans dropped last. They had no extra gear, only what they carried on their backs. They spread out in a loose line. They moved slow at first. They studied the ground. They felt the wind. They listened to the sand. Sophia Larson walked point. She pointed out stable paths. She found small water seeps under rocks. They collected drops in cloth filters. They shared every sip. When the same dust storm hit, they did not stop. They kept moving, low and steady. They used scarves to cover faces. They held on to each other with short ropes. They felt their way forward. The storm passed. They emerged on the other side. No time lost. No gear gone. They reached the endpoint first. By 6 hours. The controllers checked the beacons. Human team arrives. Full strength. No injuries. All members accounted for. Vex's group limped in much later. Tired. Thirsty. One soldier needed medical attention for a twisted ankle. Vex looked at the human line standing neat and calm. He walked over. "How?" he asked Daniel. Daniel shrugged. "We listened to the land. We moved with it, not against it." Vex stared at the desert. "We fought it." Daniel nodded. "That is the difference." That night no one gathered for stories. Soldiers sat alone or in pairs. Some thought about home. Some thought about the humans. A Zanari private approached Daniel again. He stopped a few steps away. "May I sit?" Daniel motioned to a spot by the fire. The private sat. He looked at the flames. "I laughed at your stories. I thought they were boasts. Now I see, you do not boast. You remember. You train for what might come." Daniel poked the fire. "We remember because we had to learn the hard way. Many times." The private looked up. "Will you teach us? Not everything, just a little. How to move quiet. How to endure." Daniel thought for a moment. "If your leaders ask, we will share what we can." The private bowed his head slightly. "Thank you." He walked back to his camp. The final morning brought a joint briefing. All leaders stood on a platform. The exercise controller spoke first. Overall results. Human company placed first in every category. Speed, accuracy, survival, adaptability. No team came close. Murmurs spread through the ranks. Colonel Vex stepped forward. He looked across the field, at Daniel and his soldiers. "I came here to show strength," he said. "I showed weakness instead. I mocked what I did not understand. I was wrong." He turned to Daniel. "Your legends are not legends. They are truth. Your people carry something we lost long ago. Quiet strength. The kind that does not need to shout." He raised his right hand in the Koran salute. I salute you, and I ask forgiveness for my words. The field stayed silent. Daniel stepped forward. He returned the salute. No forgiveness needed. We all learn. Vex nodded. He turned to his troops. Let this be a lesson. Do not judge by size. Do not judge by weapons. Judge by actions. His soldiers stood straighter. The Zenari sergeants stepped up next. We laughed too. We will not laugh again. One by one, leaders from other species spoke short words. Respect. Admiration. A promise to listen more. The humans said nothing more. They only nodded. The exercise ended. Ships lifted off in quiet lines. No loud engines. No cheers. The human transport left last. It rose slow into the thin atmosphere. Inside the ship, Sophia sat beside Daniel. Do you think they will remember? She asked. Daniel looked out the window at the shrinking moon. Some will, some won't, but the ones who do will carry it forward. Sophia smiled small. That is enough. The ship jumped. Praxis 4 grew empty again. But the stories changed that day. No more mockery of human legends. Only questions, and a new respect for the quiet ones who carried real strength inside calm faces, and for the leaders who knew when to reveal it. Not with words. The training on Praxis 4 ended with quiet goodbyes. Ships left the moon one after another. No loud engines, no final cheers. Soldiers boarded in orderly lines. They carried their gear without rush. The humans loaded last. Their transport rose slow into the thin sky. It vanished among the stars. Colonel Vex stood on the empty landing field until the last ship disappeared. He turned to his second officer. Send a full report to command. The officer waited. Tell them everything. The drills, the results, the hand-to-hand, the survival run. Tell them the humans did not boast. They proved. Tell them we were wrong to laugh. The officer nodded once. Vex looked at the ground where the human fire had burned the night before. A small circle of ash remained. They do not need to shout, he said quietly. That is their strength. Back on their homeworlds, the soldiers carried the memory home. Koran barracks grew quieter. Zenari training halls saw new drills. Officers spoke less of size and more of patience. The stories changed. No longer jokes about weak humans, now tales of calm people who moved like water and struck like stone. Months passed. The Coalition Council met again. This time the topic was different. A small pirate fleet that started raiding trade routes near the neutral zone. The pirates used fast ships. They hit hard and ran. No species wanted to risk a full war over scattered attacks. The council decided on a joint task force. Small, mixed, one unit from each major race. Colonel Vex volunteered his company. So did the Zenari sergeant, who once mocked the loudest. They asked for one more thing. Request human participation. The council approved. The task force gathered at a border station. 20 ships, different designs, different crews. The humans arrived in their plain gray transport. Daniel Foster stepped out first, Sophia Larson beside him. The same 50 soldiers, same calm faces. Colonel Vex met them on the docking arm. He raised his hand in salute. Captain Foster, I am glad you came. Daniel returned the salute. We came to work. No more words needed. The pirate fleet hid in an asteroid field. They used the rocks for cover. They struck supply convoys. They took cargo and left wreckage. The task force arrived. They scanned the field. Signals bounced off metal. No clear targets. Vex called a meeting on his command ship. Leaders from each species sat around the hollow table. We send scouts, Vex said. We find their base. We strike fast. The Zenari leader nodded. We use speed, hit and fade. Daniel listened. He looked at the map. May I speak? Vex turned to him. Please. Daniel pointed at a dense cluster of large asteroids. They hide here. The rocks block scans, but they need open paths to escape. They will not stay buried forever. He traced a line. We wait at these 3 gaps. We let them come to us. We do not chase. We ambush. Vex studied the plan. You want us to sit and wait? Daniel nodded. Patience wins more fights than speed. Vex looked at his officers, then back at Daniel. We do it your way. The task force split. Ships took position. They powered down. They waited in silence. Days passed. Crews stayed alert. No complaints. On the 4th day, the pirates moved. They thought the area clear. They sent scouts first. Then the main fleet. Fast ships slipped through the gaps. The humans struck first. Their ships appeared from behind rocks. Short bursts. Precise shots. Engines crippled. Weapons disabled. The pirates panicked. They turned to run. The Koran and Zanari ships closed the trap. Heavy fire from the sides. The pirates found themselves boxed in. Daniel's voice came over the joint channel. Target engines only. No hull breaches. We take prisoners. The fight lasted minutes. Pirate ships drifted dead. Escape pods launched. The task force collected them without loss. Vex stood on his bridge. He watched the screens. Clean, fast, no waste. He opened a channel to Daniel. Your plan worked perfectly. Daniel answered. Your troops executed it well. Vex paused. I once thought humans weak because they were quiet. Now I see. Quiet is not weakness. Quiet is control. Daniel replied. We speak when needed. We act when needed. That is all. The pirates surrendered. Cargo recovered. No deaths on either side. The task force returned to the station. Leaders met one last time. Vex stood before Daniel. I mocked your legends once. I will never do it again. Strength does not always roar. Sometimes it waits. He extended his hand. Daniel took it. We learn from each other. The Zanari sergeants stepped forward. I laughed loudest. I apologize, and I thank you. You taught us without anger. Daniel nodded. No apology needed. We all start somewhere. Ships left the station. The human transport departed last again. Inside the ship, Sophia sat beside Daniel. They changed, she said. Daniel looked out at the stars. Some did. That is enough. The task force report reached the council. It spoke of success, of cooperation, of lessons learned. And in quiet corners of many worlds, soldiers told new stories, not of mighty warriors who shouted, but of calm ones who waited, who moved without waste, who ended fights before they grew large, and who never needed to prove anything twice. The days after the ambush felt different on Calyx 4. The base no longer had 2 separate sides. Humans and Krell shared tables in the mess hall. They trained together on the obstacle course. They sat around the same fire at night. No one laughed at stories anymore. Instead, they asked to hear more. Captain Vorak walked with a limp from his broken leg. The medics had said it well, but he still used a crutch. He spent most evenings near the fire, listening. Tarak sat close to Daniel Brooks. The young Krell warrior no longer mocked. He asked questions instead. How did your grandfather know to come so fast? Tarak asked one night. Daniel looked at the flames. He always listened for the call. Every Marine from his unit did. They made a promise long ago. If any of them needed help, the others would answer. No matter how far, no matter how long. The flare was the old signal. Red means trouble, real trouble. Tarak touched the bandage on his leg. You could have run. You stayed. Daniel shrugged. Running would have left you behind. We do not do that. Vorak listened without speaking. His black eyes moved between the humans and his own soldiers. He saw the change. The Krell who once called humans weak now nodded when Daniel spoke. They asked about other battles, about places called Iwo Jima, Bastogne, Hue, names they had never heard before, names that carried weight. One evening Vorak stood up slowly. He leaned on his crutch. The firelight made his gray skin look warmer. "I have something to say," he told the group. Everyone grew quiet, humans and Krell alike. "When we first came here," Vorak began, "we saw small soldiers with soft voices. We thought you were fragile. We thought your legends were lies to hide fear. We laughed because we did not understand." He paused. His voice grew lower. Then the raiders came. They came in numbers. They came with traps and fire. My warriors fought hard. We always fight hard. But we were losing. I lay on the ground with a broken leg. I thought that was the end. Then your small human stood up. He did not shout. He did not run. He sent a signal, and the past answered. Vorak looked straight at Daniel. "Your grandfather came with warriors who moved like they had fought 1,000 battles. They did not hesitate. They did not ask questions. They simply acted. They carried our wounded the same way they carried their own. They fought beside us like brothers. That day, I learned something." He turned to his soldiers. "We are strong. We have always been strong. But strength alone is not enough. Strength without memory is blind. Strength without stories is empty. These humans carry their past like a weapon. It makes them stand when others would fall. It makes them come when others would stay away." Vorak limped closer to Daniel. He placed a heavy hand on the young Marine's shoulder. "You are small in body, but you are large in honor. Your legends are not tales. They are truths that still walk among you. I was wrong to laugh. I ask forgiveness." Daniel looked up at the tall captain. "There is nothing to forgive. You listened. That is enough. I was the weak one. I thank you, Daniel Brooks. I thank your grandfather. I thank all of you." Daniel smiled. "Thank you for listening now." The fire burned low. The night grew quiet. No one wanted to leave. They sat together until the flames turned to coals. Weeks later, the joint base received new orders. The border was stable. The raiders were gone. The humans and Krell would rotate back to their homeworld soon. On the last night, Vorak called everyone to the main hall. Tables were pushed together. Food from both sides filled the plates. Meat from Krell plains, bread from Earth farms. They ate and talked and laughed. Real laughter this time. Not at anyone. With each other. Vorak stood at the end. He held a small box made of dark wood. "This is for you, Daniel Brooks," he said, "and for your grandfather, and for every human who carries the old promises." He opened the box. Inside lay a polished gray stone. It was smooth, carved with Krell runes and human words. "Brother in arms," Vorak read aloud, "we remember." He handed the stone to Daniel. "Take it home. Put it where your people can see it. Let them know the Krell stand with you now. Not as tall soldiers, as brothers." Daniel took the stone. It felt warm in his hands. "Thank you," he said. "We will remember." The next morning, dropships arrived. Humans loaded gear. Krell loaded theirs. They shook hands. They hugged. They promised to meet again. Daniel boarded his ship last. He looked back at the base. Vorak stood at the gate. The tall captain raised his hand, fist over heart. Daniel did the same. The ship lifted. Calyx 4 grew small below. The forest, the fire pit, the memories all stayed behind. But they did not fade. On the long trip home, Daniel sat in the troop bay. The stone rested in his lap. John Miller sat beside him. "You did good down there," John said. Daniel shook his head. We all did. When the ship reached Earth orbit, Daniel requested a detour. He asked to land near a quiet place in the mountains. A small cemetery, rows of white stones, flags moved in the wind. Daniel walked to one grave. The marker was simple. Nathan Brooks, General, United States Marine Corps. He kept the promise. Daniel placed the gray stone beside the headstone. He knelt for a moment. They listened, Grandpa, he whispered. They understand now. He stood up. The wind touched his face. Somewhere far away, on another world, a Krell captain would tell a story to his children. A story about small humans who carried big promises. A story that would grow. A story that would last. He looked up at the stars one last time. The legends were no longer just human. They belonged to the galaxy now, and that made them stronger.